I remember the slap of cards against the table. I remember the deck in my hands, its corners worn soft as cloth. I even remember watching my mother's face change as she reached the part of the story that mattered, the one about her grandfather, a Romanian sailor who lived through the communist regime. I remember everything except the story. I was listening, or I thought I was. Really, I was 3 moves ahead in the card game and half a paragraph into an email I was composing in my head. My mother finished her story. I instinctively laughed in the right place, but I do not remember a single word she said. To this day, I do not know how it ended. Here's what I do know. We called him Poppy. That's a fact. Unfortunately, it's not a person, and it's just a name. And stories are one of the few ways I might have known him better as a person, and known my mother a little bit better too. She was trying to pass part of her life down onto me, and I missed it. Something important had been offered, and I had not been there to receive it. Of all people, I should have noticed. I'm a user experience researcher. I study people's behaviors and needs with technology for a living. That means listening to what people say, but it also means watching what they do. In a research session, someone might say that was easy, while clicking back twice, scrolling endlessly. I listen to the pause, the glance, the hand that stops while the words that say everything is fine. And in a research session, I could notice the distance between what people say and what they do. I couldn't notice that distance in myself. Why? Because being absent doesn't always feel like being absent. Sometimes it feels like an ordinary Tuesday. And so I asked myself to consider this was not an ordinary conversation, this was a habit. And I wanted to bring myself back more regularly. We usually call this a failure of focus, but focus was not my problem. At the card table, I was intensely focused on the card game, on the email, on everything except my mother. So you can be intensely focused and still completely absent. Psychologists call this mind wandering, attention that has left the moment. And so I wanted to find a way to return back on the regular basis. I did what researchers do. I found a laboratory where I could observe my own behavior. Mine ended up being the dance floor. I, for one, did not grow up dancing. For me, movement meant chores and long walks, unless you count dodging questions about my career plans. One evening on a study group on my way to campus and college, I was seeing dancers dancing and I saw a loud bass. They were living their best lives out there, so I signed up for a beginner dance class before I could talk myself out of it. Let's just say my first dance class was humbling. I moved like a confused marionette, off-beat, off-balance, occasionally facing the wrong direction. I wasn't really dancing. I was supervising myself trying to dance. Do I look foolish? Am I doing this right? Maybe you know that feeling. Half of you doing the thing, the other half watching, grading. On my mother's card table, I could tell myself I was listening. On the dance floor, the truth was in the music. Then, slowly, something started to shift. I put my feet on the floor. I breathed. My shoulders relaxed. I could feel the movement instead of performing it. And then I realized that sometimes my mind wasn't the first place that noticed things. It was my body. 5 years later, I had learned enough to start teaching beginners dancing. And I noticed the people in the back of the room. They were supervising themselves trying to dance just as I had. Sometimes, the best thing I could do was not always offer another instruction. Sometimes it was just a smile. You know, it was standing beside them and doing the movement up close. I wanted to send a message. You do not have to be good at this to let yourself be here. The beginners were offering their trust, their effort, and the courage to be seen trying. So was my mother when she offered me her story about Poppy. Your attention is how someone finds out they matter to you. Recently in April, in my MBA classroom, I was standing in a lunch line. My classmate was telling me about their business plan, and I was looking at the food in front of me. My mind had already shifted to the accounting homework due at midnight. I was listening to some of their practical details, the business plan, the logistics, the timeline. And then I noticed. I was there, but my attention wasn't. So I put my feet on the floor. I took a deep breath. I refocused on their face. And then they told me, I've been treating this as a side project. I'm done doing that. This wasn't just a business plan. The vision for their life had changed. And I almost missed it because I was looking for the practical details instead of what it meant for them. Knowing how much I had missed and how much I had almost missed, I started to look for ways to return back on purpose. I started with a 3-question framework. First, where did I go? Second, who or what did I leave behind? And third, what actions will bring me back right now? Not eventually, now. I don't ask these questions to criticize myself. I ask them to help me bring me back to the moment. Sometimes it begins with your feet on the floor, or a breath, or noticing the people in front of you and surrounding you. So let us try it out now. Notice where your attention is. Maybe it is here, or maybe it has already wandered to the next thing after this talk, tomorrow. Wherever it went, do not judge it. Just notice, where did I go? Who or what did I leave behind? And what actions will bring me back right now? Now I want you to feel your feet on the floor. Take a deep breath and feel the weight in your chair. Notice the people in front of you or surrounding you. For 5 to 10 seconds, that's all we're going to do. Good work. For 10 seconds, you just practice coming back. It's okay if your mind wandered. That's part of the practice. Having gotten more practiced at coming back, there was one conversation I wanted to return to. I asked my mother to tell me the story about Poppy, and this time, she remembered bits and pieces of it, not all of it. Some moments do not wait for us to come back. But this time when she told the story, I listened. I can listen now before the next moment becomes a memory. Your attention will still leave the room, and so will mine. But the important part is that presence is not never leaving. Presence is returning back to the present moment. So I want you to remember that sometimes returning begins with your body, a breath, your feet on the floor, and sometimes that's how you return back to the person in front of you. Thank you.